All right, folks, let's talk about India and Pakistan. These two nations share a complex and intertwined history that continues to shape their present and future. Two countries separated at birth, still figuring things out. Their relationship is like a delicate dance, sometimes harmonious, often contentious. And imagine siblings who used to share a room, now living in a constant state of he said, she said. That's the vibe. They have shared memories, but also deep-seated grievances. It all started in 1947, a pivotal year that marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new chapter. After centuries under British rule, India gained independence. The joy was palpable, but it was short-lived. But here's the catch. The British also decided to split the land, creating Pakistan. This decision was rushed and poorly planned. Think of it like a messy divorce with the British Empire as the awkward mediator. They drew lines on a map, but those lines cut through lives and communities. The partition was based on religion, with Pakistan envisioned as a homeland for Muslims and India for Hindus. This division was supposed to bring peace, but it brought chaos instead. Millions found themselves on the wrong side of the border, leading to one of the largest mass migrations in human history. People left everything behind in search of safety. And let's not forget the violence. The streets were filled with fear and bloodshed. Religious riots erupted, leaving a scar that still hasn't fully healed. The wounds of partition are deep and enduring. It was a chaotic and heartbreaking period. Families were torn apart and communities were shattered. Families were torn apart and communities were shattered. The emotional toll was immense, and the repercussions are still felt today. The seeds of mistrust and animosity were sown, setting the stage for decades of conflict. The legacy of partition is a complex web of emotions and politics, and the biggest bone of contention, the issue that has fueled numerous conflicts and wars, you guessed it, Kashmir. A region of stunning beauty, but also a flashpoint for ongoing tensions and disputes. Kashmir. The very name evokes images of snow-capped mountains, lush valleys, and unfortunately military checkpoints. This region, often referred to as paradise on earth, is also a flashpoint of conflict. This stunningly beautiful region has been a major source of tension between India and Pakistan since day one. The conflict has deep historical roots and has led to numerous wars and skirmishes. Both countries claim it as their own, leading to a tangled web of history, politics, and, let's be honest, a whole lot of ego. The stakes are high, and neither side is willing to back down. At the time of partition, Kashmir was ruled by a Hindu Maharaja who was hesitant to join either India or Pakistan. His indecision added fuel to the already smouldering tensions. However, when tribal invaders from Pakistan entered the region, he signed an agreement acceding Kashmir to India in exchange for military assistance. This decision was a turning point in the history of the region. This move infuriated Pakistan and thus began the Kashmir conflict. The initial skirmishes soon escalated into full-blown wars. To this day, Kashmir remains divided. The region is split between Indian-administered Jammu and Kashmir and Pakistani-administered Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan. India controls a larger portion, including the picturesque Kashmir Valley, which is known for its stunning landscapes and vibrant culture, while Pakistan administers a smaller area known as Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan. These regions have their own unique beauty and challenges. A line of control acts as a de facto border, but it's far from a peaceful one. Skirmishes and ceasefire violations are common. More on that later. So, we've got two new countries still figuring out their relationship, fighting over the same piece of land. What could go wrong? Well, in the years following partition, India and Pakistan went to war not once, not twice, but 3 times. That's right, folks, 3 full-blown wars. Talk about sibling rivalry gone way too far. The first war, in 1947 to 48, ended with a UN-brokered ceasefire and the division of Kashmir. The second, in 1965, was also over Kashmir and again resulted in a stalemate. But the big one, the one that really shook things up, was the 1971 war. This war was sparked by the Bangladesh Liberation War, with India supporting East Pakistan's fight for independence from West Pakistan. It ended with a decisive Indian victory and the birth of Bangladesh. Talk about a geopolitical earthquake. After the 1971 war, things calmed down a bit, relatively speaking, but don't be fooled, this was no fairy tale ending. Instead of full-blown wars, the conflict shifted to a simmering tension, punctuated by regular skirmishes along the line of control in Kashmir. Think of it like a never-ending game of tug-of-war, with soldiers on both sides constantly on edge. These skirmishes often involve artillery fire, sniper attacks, and cross-border raids. It's a dangerous game, with soldiers and civilians alike caught in the crossfire. And the backdrop, the breathtaking yet unforgiving Himalayan mountains. Seriously, they couldn't even fight on flat ground. One particularly tense area is the Siachen Glacier, the world's highest battlefield. Soldiers are stationed at altitudes of over 20,000 feet, battling not just each other, but also extreme cold, altitude sickness, and the constant threat of avalanches. It's a testament to human resilience, but also a stark reminder of the absurdity of war. Section 5. International intervention playing peacemaker in a volatile region. Now, you might be thinking, surely someone has tried to step in and stop this madness, right? And you'd be right. Over the years, there have been countless attempts at international mediation, with the UN, the US, and other countries trying to play peacemaker. But it's like trying to mediate a fight between two cats over a particularly delicious tuna can. Good luck with that. The problem is, the Kashmir issue is incredibly complex, with deeply entrenched positions on both sides. India insists on bilateral talks, while Pakistan wants international mediation. And let's not forget the aspirations of the Kashmiri people themselves, who often feel caught in the middle of this geopolitical tug-of-war. Despite the challenges, international efforts continue, focusing on confidence-building measures, dialogue, and de-escalation. But it's a slow and arduous process, with progress often measured in baby steps. Section 6. The never-ending story: ceasefires and their inevitable demise. So, we've established that India and Pakistan have a bit of a history, but what about today? Are things any better? Have the decades of conflict and attempts at peace brought any lasting change? Well, the answer, my friends, is complicated. It's a tangled web of politics, history, and national pride. Both countries have, in recent years, made overtures towards peace, with high-level meetings and diplomatic engagements, and even a ceasefire agreement in 2003. This was seen as a significant step forward. But here's the thing about ceasefires: they're often like band-aids on a bullet wound. They offer temporary relief, but don't heal the deeper issues. They might stop the bleeding temporarily, creating a facade of peace, but they don't address the underlying injury. The root causes of the conflict remain unresolved. And so these periods of relative calm are often punctuated by flare-ups, border clashes, and renewed hostilities, and accusations of ceasefire violations. Each side blames the other, perpetuating the cycle of distrust. Just this week, for example, we saw a perfect illustration of this cycle. The pattern repeats itself with almost predictable regularity. On May 12, 2025, India and Pakistan announced an immediate ceasefire, raising hopes for a de-escalation of tensions. But just hours later, reports emerged of exchanges of fire along the LOC. Reports emerged of exchanges of fire along the LOC. It's like they can't help themselves. The cycle of hope and disappointment continues, leaving both nations in a perpetual state of tension. Section 7. Speaking of Morocco, hold on, are we sure about this? Now, I know there have been whispers, rumors even, about Morocco's alleged involvement in the India-Pakistan conflict. Some have gone as far as to suggest that Morocco is somehow fanning the flames of this decades-old dispute. But here's the thing, where's the proof? We checked the news, we scoured the internet, and guess what? We found nothing. Zilch, nada. It seems this Moroccan angle is about as substantial as a Bollywood plot twist. Don't get me wrong, stranger things have happened, but for now, let's stick to the facts. The India-Pakistan conflict is complicated enough without dragging in unsubstantiated claims. It's like adding chutney to a biryani that's already bursting with flavor. Completely unnecessary. Section 8, the nuclear elephant in the room, a sobering reality check. There's one more thing we need to address, folks, and it's a big one. Nuclear weapons. Both India and Pakistan possess nuclear arsenals, making this conflict not just a regional concern, but a global one. That's right, in the event of a full-blown war, it wouldn't just be biryani and butter chicken at stake. We're talking about potential global catastrophe. The thought of two nuclear-armed neighbors with a history of conflict, constantly at odds with each other, is frankly terrifying. It's like watching a game of chicken played with live grenades. Not exactly a recipe for a relaxing evening. The good news is both countries understand the gravity of the situation. They've established communication channels and safety mechanisms to prevent accidental escalation, but still, the risk remains, hanging over the conflict like a dark cloud. Section 9, the path forward, hope and hurdles on the road to resolution. So what's the solution to this seemingly intractable conflict? If I had a magic wand, I'd wave it in a heartbeat. But alas, the real world is a bit more complicated. There's no easy answer, no quick fix, but that doesn't mean we give up hope. Dialogue, however difficult, remains crucial. Confidence-building measures, however small, are a step in the right direction. And international pressure, when applied strategically, can play a constructive role. The key lies in moving beyond the rhetoric, the historical baggage, and the entrenched positions. It's about recognizing the shared humanity on both sides, the common hopes and dreams that unite people across borders. It's about building a future where biryani diplomacy triumphs over border skirmishes. Now, wouldn't that be something worth fighting for?